Hey guys, it's Brad with Arbor View Properties. Sitting here in my office this morning trying to get some work done before I leave to go on a lunch appointment. Was just finalizing the details on a deal that we are hopefully closing today, as long as we can get the payoff back from the mortgage company. That's the last thing we're waiting on to get this thing closed out. It's usually how it ends up happening. Bank takes forever to get you a payoff back, but it's like, hey guys, you want your money or not? So anyways, this particular deal that we're closing it's a pretty nasty divorce, and I wanted to kind of recap I guess my cup's really not in the way here. I wanted to kind of recap what happened with this particular deal and how we solved it, and I think it goes to speak to like who we are as a company and what our values are. And our values are really A, doing the right thing, and B, making sure that we keep it simple and we don't overcomplicate things, and we make sure that that this is a win-win scenario for everyone involved. So in this particular situation, a couple months ago, we had gotten reached out to by a gentleman, and they're wanting to sell their house, and we looked at it, and the numbers seemed reasonable. Their asking price was reasonable. It almost seemed a little low, and I was like, well, I could probably pay more for that property. So we scheduled the appointment. We went out to see the house. Well, as part of our appointment process and the discovery process, we discovered that the couple was going through a nasty divorce. And B, we also discovered that the house needed a decent amount of work. Exterior looked okay, the inside needed a significant amount of work. And there was a lot of stuff in the house. I wouldn't necessarily call them hoarders by any means. It was just cluttered. There was just a lot of stuff. They'd lived there for a long time. They had raised their kids there. There's just a lot of stuff. And the couple had already moved out of the house. They weren't even living in the house any longer. And they were really just looking for closure with this. They both wanted out. They owed the mortgage. The house and the mortgage were in both of their names. They just wanted to be done. The wife had already moved to another state. She didn't even live in the state of Georgia anymore. And the gentleman had purchased a house somewhat nearby, or I'm sorry, not purchased a house, but moved into an apartment somewhat nearby. They were just both kind of looking to close this chapter of their life and move on to the next steps. They weren't really communicating as well. The husband had said, "Oh yeah, it's an amicable divorce, blah blah blah." Well, when we spoke to the wife, I don't know if I would agree that it was amicable. So anyways, the way we handled this particular situation is we had agreed to, we made them an offer, and the husband and the wife both agreed to that offer. We made them an offer in which we would allow them some time to get their stuff out of the house. We would close. At that point, this was at the beginning, or like towards the beginning of September, I believe, like sort of middle of September is when they initially reached out to us. And then we were going to close at the beginning of October. And they said, okay, fine, that's great, blah, blah, blah. And we were going to give them a temporary occupancy for like 2 weeks to get their stuff out of the house, because she wanted to go get her stuff out of the house, and then once she was done, then he could go in and get the rest of his stuff out of the house. And then whatever they left behind, they could just leave it behind and we would clean it out. So we worded our contract, and we do this quite frequently with deals where we said, all right, whatever personal property is left behind after a specific date, you have until X date to get your stuff out. Whatever is left behind after that date becomes our personal property, and we can do with it what we wish. Sometimes we donate stuff, sometimes we dispose of it through junk removal companies, blah, blah, blah. So the issue arose in that they agreed to the price and everything, but the wife just couldn't bring herself to sign a contract. She was a very cautious, reluctant person, and she was also having trouble coming to terms with having to close this chapter in her life, even though the divorce had been nasty and it was not a pleasant experience, but B, having to close this chapter in her life and move on to the next step. That was scary. scary for everybody, right? It's new, no one, uncertainty, you don't know what's going on. And then B, there was the fact that she had to get her stuff out of the house and come to terms with the fact that, what do I get rid of? What do I keep? Well, I don't have enough space to keep this stuff and that stuff. And how big of a truck do I need? And what date am I going to move? And we gave her a date to move, and she just couldn't agree on that. So what it came down to, she'd said, oh, I want to get a pod for moving. So we had agreed to explore getting her a pod, and that we would pay for the pod up front, and then she would just reimburse us for the pod out of her closing proceeds. And well, it turns out the pod was really, really expensive. We kind of warned her up front that the pod was going to be, pods are not the cheapest option for moving. They're quite expensive. And in this case, because she was moving out of state and she needed some time, it was significant cost. And she just said, oh, you know what, that's not going to work. So I said, all right, how about we just get you a U-Haul truck, and we'll get you some movers, to help you load the truck. Well, we got her a truck. We figured it all out, so we reserved the truck for her, got it on a specific day, and said, all right, you're going to go pick it up at 9 a.m. You can drive it to the new state where you live, and we'll do a one-way rental, and you can drop it off at this U-Haul place around the corner from your new house, and you're good to go. So that's ultimately what we did, and we arranged to have 2 movers come meet her at the house and help her load her belongings up into the truck. Beforehand, she had a friend or a family member come help her kind of box things up and get things in boxes. And then, it was difficult for her to make that decision. There was a lot of excuses about, oh, well, this came up and that came up. And really, it was just excuses. She was just trying to put off the inevitable. And that's okay. That's how people cope with things. And that's totally okay. So we were patient with her through the process. And finally, what ended up happening is we got her a U-Haul truck. It only ended up costing her, less than $300. We agreed to pay for the movers to help her, just to kind of help her, get through the process. And in the end, it all worked out great. This past weekend, she got all of her stuff out of the house. She closed that chapter on the life, and she was so grateful for everything. And part of this process, also what we did is I kind of assigned a liaison. So if you've called into our website or called into our company, you probably spoke with Missy on the phone. I said, Missy, you are her advocate. And Joel, who is my home buying specialist who goes out to the house, you probably meet with him at the house. He's the one who comes to the house and does the assessments. So Joel, you're the husband's advocate. You're in charge of him. And you guys... Joel, you're not allowed to talk to her, and Missy, you're not allowed to talk to him. And then I will kind of direct you how we need to respond to this. That way, they had a specific point of contact. They had a confidant, a liaison to deal with, and because there was, the male, female, thing, and then the nasty divorce. So it actually ended up working really, really great. And the husband, we're closing the house out today. The husband's going to go by there this weekend and get what he wants out of the house. He really doesn't want a whole lot out of the house anyways. He's going to go by, grab a few things that he wants, and then it'll be done. And then we can start renovations on the house next week and start renovating it and whatnot. So in the end, it all worked out great. So we helped her get moved. We helped her get to her new place. We helped both of them close this chapter in their life, and they both walked away with a little bit of cash from the closing table after the mortgage was paid off. They didn't have to worry about fixing the property. The property was in disrepair on the interior, and there was a lot of stuff left in the house. And if anyone's ever dealt with moving stuff and getting rid of stuff, it's overwhelming. So they didn't have to deal with getting rid of this stuff. It ended up working out great. So we're hopefully closing that one out today if we can get the payoff back in time. If not, it would probably be tomorrow when we get the payoff back. And another great thing we're doing about this is we do this with some deals where we'll send a mobile notary. So we're going to send a notary to her in the new state that she lives in, and she's going to be able to sign all the closing documents remotely with a notary in the presence of a notary, and that will handle closing there. And then the husband, we're going to send a notary to him because he's kind of this particular property is on the west side of Atlanta, and my closing attorney is on the east side of Atlanta. So he doesn't have to drive and spend, 2.5, 3 hours of his day in traffic driving. We're going to send a notary to him wherever he is, and he can go sign the documents in the presence of a notary where he is. And everything's done remotely, and it's great. And so we'll get the house sold. It was a win-win-win for everyone involved. and we made it as seamless as possible and made it as easy as possible so that this wasn't an overwhelming situation for them. So I wanted to share that story with you about this particular nasty divorce. And divorce is never good. No one wants to go through a divorce, and that's the tough part. But we tried to make it as easy and smooth as possible. And now they're closing this chapter in their life. The divorce is finalized. They're moving on and starting their separate lives. And I wish them both the best. And we really do wish them both the best. And we're glad we were able to fix this for them and make it a more ideal situation than it had been. So I wanted to share that story with you. I really appreciate it. If you have a house that you need to sell, please reach out to us at Arborview Properties. You can call us at 770-810-5715, or you can click on the link below in the description of the video, and that'll take you to our website. You can fill out the web form, and that information will come across to our team. Missy on my team will give you a call and discuss the options with you. And we can go from there, and maybe we'll call you and figure out if we're a good fit for you. If we're not, we're going to let you know too. We're not a good fit for everybody. Not everyone is the right fit for us. And that's okay. So thanks again for checking out our video. I really appreciate it. Check out our other videos. You can go to our website on the Video Vault section, or you can go to our YouTube channel at Arborview Properties. Watch all the different videos we have. And again, if you need to sell a house, 770-810-5715. Or you can go to our website and fill out the web form, and that will get to us quickly as well. So thanks again for your time. You guys have a wonderful day.